How's it going, creeps? Welcome to episode 18 of Cinema Creep, a Black Mass Films podcast where we dissect all things vile, disgusting, and downright terrifying in the world of horror cinema. I'm Justin.
And I'm Andrew.
And we want to give a quick shout out real fast to our sponsors over at Everblack Coffee. They just released a new flavor for the Christmas season called Krampus Cookies, and it tastes exactly like Christmas cookies. So definitely go over there, give those guys some love. You can also order the Krampus bundle and get some rad Krampus socks. So, you know, everybody loves getting socks for Christmas. So, you know, pick that up and give those socks as a gift or keep them for yourself. That's what I would do. So everblackcoffee.com. And how are you doing? I know we both just made it through this movie and we kind of don't feel right about life, but
yeah, no, I mean, it's a common theme over the last day or so, you know, like it's been a weird couple days. I've been catching up on rest, and that's not something I typically do, right? Like, I feel like people talking about seasonal depression, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like I was feeling that for like a day, and then like yesterday I literally I was working on a website, fucked my website all up, and I was like, God damn it. And then it was a lot of work to get it back to where it needed to be because I made a lot of changes, and somehow it didn't format correctly, and it saved. And I was like, son of a bitch. And I knew I had to go through and do a bunch of shit. Stood up. My phone was in my lap. It fell on the computer brick charger right on the corner of the glass and shattered my fucking phone screen. So I was like, fuck this. I'm going to go sleep for 15 hours. And that's what I did. Now I feel amazing. So how have you been?
Well, I didn't break my phone, but I did get a little bit of a cold. It wasn't the world famous or infamous pandemic, but
don't say
I
it.
drank
We don't speak of its name.
Yeah, I drank a fuck ton of Mucinex the other night, and I went to sleep, and I woke up feeling like, $1 million, or right as rain, as they say. And I've just been on like a productive kick the last couple days. You know, I've been pumping out videos for my own YouTube channel. I've obviously redone the studio for those of you watching the video version. A lot of work actually still has to be done on the other side, but feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty stoked on the new setup and some things that we've got in the pipeline to work on. So
what you're saying is you just got to get fucked up on Mucinex about once a week, and you'll be productive as hell.
Hell yeah. You do it one time, and for like the next week, you're just like, I got to get shit done. So
did you like double cup it with Sprite? Did you make it like lean, or was it just like straight Mucinex?
I did. Oh man, I made lean. No, I took the recommended dose for my age, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up and was like, hell yeah.
I woke up, it's like, hell yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, that's good because I didn't hear from you for a day and a half.
Let's get a sponsor, Mucinex.
Yeah. After you left work, feeling like shit, I didn't hear from you for like a day and a half. And I was like,
is he dead?
This motherfucker's got that COVID.
Nah, I was asleep. I slept so hard, and then woke up. I was like, what year is it? And
that's like, how you know you sleep good too. It's like when you wake up and you're like confused as fuck. You know, like you just wake up and it's like you have oh God, what's it called when people lose their memory?
Amnesia.
Yeah, you're like, God damn, what year is it?
Yeah,
you're like Marty McFly running around, or
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's exactly how it was. So, Christmas time is here. Xmas time, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate. We do not discriminate here at Cinema Creep. So
open this pit up.
Open this fucking pit. It is that time of year. So we are kicking that off with 1984's Don't Open Till Christmas. What a movie.
I'm just going to say this wasn't my idea. I just want to go ahead and put that out into the universe.
Okay, I also
this was
want
Justin's
to say
pick.
So the reason we didn't have an episode last week is because we got halfway through recording an episode. We were doing a Christmas horror story, and we just weren't feeling it. And then we were like, you know what? Let's stop this and let's either pick up tomorrow or next week. So we sat down and we wrote a whole fucking script for a short film that we had been trying to get, in the pipeline. So we were productive. And then we said, you know what? Let's pick a more obscure film. And everybody, in the horror community on Instagram and everything's been posting all of their Christmas horror. And they were posting a lot of Don't Open Till Christmas. And we watched the trailer. And up until then, I don't remember ever seeing this movie. And we're like, hell yeah, this looks fucking great. Let's watch it. And then we watched it. And I was like, okay, I've fucking seen this. And I didn't like it any more than I did the first time.
Listen. Here's my take on this movie. You'll hear us talk about it as we go through it. But so exactly what Justin said, and I've seen a lot of people in the horror community posting about it. And I think it's just one of those things. It's like, check out this fucking movie I got because it has to deal with Christmas. Not that like anybody honestly likes this movie. And if you do, go ahead and at me because I want to know exactly what it is you fucking like about this, because I can't really take your movie recommendations from now on if you think this is a fucking good movie. But anyways, this movie's straight fucking garbage, and because it's from 1984, right, Justin? So before I talk about like more about it, I want to just read some of the movies that are from 1984, right? So this movie had no business being this bad because in 1984, I'm just going to read some of the more popular ones. You had Chud. You had Children of the Corn. You had, let me see. You had Friday the 13th, the final chapter. You had Ghostbusters, Gremlins, The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. You had Night of the Comet, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let me see what else is down here. That's fucking Silent Night, Deadly Night came out, Splatter University, The Toxic Avenger. Like, there was so many other horror films coming out. Like, if you go back and you look at like a horror film from like 1974, you expect to have this kind of quality in movie, but not from 1984. This is like when horror was like starting to be in its peak. Like it was, I'm going
to stop you for a second because you don't even have that excuse for 1974 because you had shit like Black Christmas, dude.
Yeah. Well,
like the bar was already there.
The bar was being set. But I understand in the 70s because they were still trying to figure shit out. Some people just had already figured it out because they were just straight up talented, right? But like in 84, there is no reason. You just follow the goddamn blueprint. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what this movie tried to do, except it followed everybody's blueprints.
Yeah, like 12 blueprints.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's give a little bit of info on this. So it was directed by Edmund Purdom. And it was written by Alan Birkinshaw, and additional scenes were apparently written by Derek Ford. But one of them, so this is from IMDb, and I'm not sure on which one was credited as Al McGowan. But the synopsis is somebody with very little Christmas spirit is killing anyone in a Santa suit on one London holiday season. And Scotland Yard has to stop him before he makes his exploits an annual tradition. And it doesn't even kick off like following that. Because he's supposed to be a serial killer because the serial thing he does is killing people in Santa suits, but it kicks off the film him just killing, two random strangers that are like trying to fuck in a car. So that already to me, I was like, but you're already like his entire MO is already like, or did I miss something?
No. So guys, I think Justin, why this film was fucking just all over the place too. Like, just IMDb is talking here real quick, and then I'm going to touch on what you said. It's talking about the film took almost 2 years to complete after the original director Edmund Purdom quit the job, and Derek Ford took over, but was fired after 2 days. The distributors then hired Ray Self to complete the direction and Alan Birkinshaw to rewrite parts of the script, including the original ending and the London dungeon sequence. And much of the footage was completely refilmed. So that kind of makes sense, right? Like one dude quit,
shout
one dude,
out
they were
London
like,
Dungeon, one of the greatest Misfit songs ever written.
Right.
Continue.
So that kind of makes sense, right? Like of why this movie is all over the fucking place is one guy started directing it, and then another guy started, and after 2 days, they're like, you know what, you fucking suck. And then they hired another guy, and then Alan Birkinsall rewrote parts of the script, and, you know, he was like, I guess I'll just fucking put this here because we're already in production and I'm still writing this. So
you're saying that this got The Last Jedi'd, pretty much.
Yeah. It got Last Jedi'd. And then, but this movie, if you don't own it, it is incredibly hard to find online. Like a lot of stuff we can source on Amazon Prime, right? And like what Justin said is like, the movie started out like this, he said, unless I missed something, because the version he watched was like 15 minutes shorter than the version I watched.
Yep. So
and
this is on Amazon Prime, but when you try to watch it, it's not available in the US. So
I'm fucking envious that you had to watch 15 minutes less of this than I did. I just want to say,
hey, man. Hey.
But right, so it opens really weird, right? We get a cold opening in first person point of view of a man. He's like walking towards a car. He's stalking a couple as they make out, which is apparently a huge thing in the 80s, right? Like so many movies play on this, right? And the stalker, he's just circling around the car. The couple sees him and they're just like, oh, okay, this is fine. The male actually tells him to go the fuck away, right? But the woman's like, I think she actually says, don't worry about him as they're making out. It's like, what kind of woman is this? Normally it's like the roles are reversed, right? She's like, yeah, don't worry about him. And she's very like, let him watch, right? But if they would have taken this shit as a red flag, like any normal person would have, Justin, as they're, making out in the car and they see somebody just kind of like circling around the fucking car, maybe this dude wouldn't have got stabbed in the fucking stomach, when he finally decides to try and make the killer fuck off, because he goes to step out of the car like, all right, stop walking around my car, asshole, and steps out. And then as soon as he does, he gets stabbed in the fucking gut, right? So immediately, like you said, there's no MO. Like you think, okay, well, this guy's just fucking, like it tells you, he's going to kill Santa Clauses, but it's like, he just kills a random couple in the beginning. And you're like, all right, well, what's this movie about?
Right.
Then of course, the lady gets killed, right? She jumps out of the car and ends up getting stabbed in the stomach,
Yep. I mean, it was definitely a very weird opening, but then it gets even weirder. Cause then it goes from there to the credits. But then we go to a fucking disco party. It's like a disco Christmas party, right?
It is literally a disco Christmas costume party, right? Because everybody was dressed in costumes.
I want to give the credit, though. That kill was my favorite part of the movie.
When he's blowing the little party blower out and gets stabbed in the fucking head with a sword.
Yeah, so they're at this disco party thing and they introduce like Santa Claus, and this guy comes out dressed as Santa and he's coming down like, it looked like a runway, like a model runway or like a stripper runway.
It was definitely a stage.
Yeah, and he's walking out. We're going to call it the stripper Santa runway. And he's walking out, and while everybody's looking, like the killer comes up behind him with like, it looked like a spear or something. Like the version I watched of this the quality was terrible. Like not only was the movie itself just
if it was a stage or a fucking runway or what.
Well, for real. And it was like, it was supposed to be in 720p, but the film rip was terrible. So it was like super dark and everything was like pixelated kind of. But so the Santa's got like one of those party horns, you blow into it and like the paper thing rolls out, and as he does it, like he gets stabbed through the back of the head and the blade comes out of his mouth. And I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. But so the rest of the film just kind of like from there goes downhill.
This whole scene was like confusing to me already, right? Because you said all of a sudden it cuts to a disco party, right? And the more I watch movies from the 70s and 80s, the more I understand why like 80s metalheads made fun of disco. I just don't fucking get like exactly what is disco supposed to be. Like I just don't understand the music. I don't understand like the dancing. It's weird. It's all around weird. Like if you watch Scarface, when they're in the fucking disco club and Tony Montoya is fucking dancing. It's the most awkward shit in the world. But anyway, so like you have this ominous figure, right? Basically moving through the crowd at the party. And then the score gives it away, right? Because as soon as he comes in, like the score starts doing that build up, right? The synth build up. And the guy's dressed in a cloak or whatever, and you're like, okay, well, this is fucking dude's gonna cause some trouble. And he stabs the dude in the fucking back of the head, like you said. And and no one seems to give a fuck, right? Because, like, it's, why don't you run to the back of the stage? Because it was just like streamers behind the Santa Claus, right? Where he snuck behind to stab him through. And it's like, nobody was like, oh, well, let's run back there and see who the fuck did it. No, they look over and there's like I was so confused about what happened. They like look over and there's like a fucking dummy with like a shrunken head on it. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I fucking missed that shit.
Yeah, there was like a dummy with a shrunken head on it, and they walk over and they pull it off, and it's like he was like a fucking decoy or some shit. I'm like, what is the point of this? This probably wasn't even in your version. They probably cut this out for your YouTube version. They're like, this is dumb as fuck. And they pull the fucking thing off, and like the guy gets away somehow, And I'm like, how the fuck did he even get away? Like, they didn't show him like running out of a back door or anything. Did they just not have a plan of how he escaped? They're like, okay, well, how the fuck are we gonna make this work? So they just cut to the next scene, right?
Right. Well, they keep it. It kind of turns into like a whodunit, because then it goes to like, the inspectors, which, in the UK, like that's a detective. So they're in the office, or the Scotland Yard, the new Scotland Yard or whatever is what they call it. And they've got a paper. It's like a newspaper, and it's like Santa slain. And so they're starting the investigation on this murder. So they go to an apartment, right? They're going to try to like tell all the Santas, or they tell the Santa's daughter, right? Because so this girl that is like a main character, kind of, that's the thing. Like, there's no actual main characters in this movie. They're all just kind of like,
I didn't learn her name was Kate until like halfway through the fucking movie.
I didn't learn her name was Kate until just fucking now. But so they go there, and they're basically like, your dad's dead. And we don't know who the fuck did it. So it turns into like a whodunit mystery, which we were talking about. They followed like 12 different blueprints. To me, I got a very, Italian, like a giallo feel from that, because you don't know who did it yet. And he's like always shrouded in like shadows and wearing that cloak. So now it's turning into, like a cop movie or like a detective thing. So then it cuts from there. Like, now we see another Santa. So they're finally trying to push forward with that MO of, he's a serial Santa Claus killer. So.
Yeah. And like you said, it's, I guess maybe it's just part of the rewrite, because they're like, guess what? Now we're killing Santas again, right? And of all places, in a fucking back alley, So what the fuck is Santa Claus doing in the back alley? First of all, somebody dressed as Santa, listening to a radio broadcast, which is an 80s thing, right? You always have the fucking guy standing next to a burn barrel with like a ghetto blaster. You know what I mean? That's like the 80s starter kit. And of course, you have a figure that approaches the fucking Santa from behind and starts choking him with a wire. And then he throws his fucking face into the burn barrel. I'm like, well, that's kind of gnarly. Like, this movie is starting to redeem itself. Except then it starts doing all these weird fucking cuts. Like, whoever edited this movie, like, I don't know. I don't know what they were on, but they were on something, because they were just fucking... They just, if you've ever filmed anything, Justin, and I know we've done it, like you go out and you're like, oh, fuck, I really needed to shoot some like some establishing shots or some B-roll or something, but you're like, I don't fucking have it. So you just start cutting shit and you're like, well, that makes no sense. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, it's like one of those deals. It's like they didn't shoot enough coverage. So they're like, let's just cut it wherever the fuck we feel like it. Maybe they won't notice.
Before we leave like that burn kill though, you want to talk about, I mean, there's not really much to talk about it, just like pointing it out and laughing at it. He like throws his face in there, right? And then he pulls him up to show like the burns, and then he drops him back down, and then he literally just combusts into flames.
Yeah.
And I'm
that's
like, the fuck?
That's one flammable Santa. Should have got the flame retardant costume.
I guess. Fucking Amazon didn't exist back then, though. You couldn't just like look that shit up.
there's an awful lot of fucking Santas in London. Like, I guess that was a thing back then. Like, hey, motherfuckers, we're all cosplaying as Santa. You know what I mean? Like, it must have been a money racket to do that because there were so many people dressed as Santa Claus. I bet you can go right now in whatever town you live in, and you may find like 3. This dude kills like 14 fucking Santas in this movie.
Well, I mean, it could have been because their shitty movie needed a plot, a plot device for their shitty story. So,
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I believe there's a lot of fucking Santas in London for some reason. It just seems like the place where they would be. So we get a weird fucking cut, right? And all of a sudden, a bike messenger drops off a present at the inspector's home. And I don't know about you guys, but it drives me crazy when movies use the title of the movie in dialogue throughout the film. Like, I'm like, oh my God, did they really just do that? And of course, in this scene, we get that, right? Because I guess it's the inspector's like maid or some shit like that. I don't know. She wasn't very important in the film. But she's reading it and she's like, well, somebody just dropped off this gift for you. And he's like, yeah, just put it in my office. And she's like, what the gift says, don't open till Christmas. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, after you just redeemed yourself with the barrel kill, we're going to do this shit.
They might not have even had a fucking name when they were writing it. And then that was one of those lines where they're like, that's the fucking one right there.
That's it right now. Yeah. But this movie, right, in parts, it has a super Sixth Sense score for no reason at all, right? The music keeps doing these weird builds and then nothing happens after it because you're like, oh fuck, yeah, somebody's about to get murdered, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, guess what? We're just gonna weird cut to like Kate trying to call the fucking Scotland Yard at her house again.
Yeah, you're talking about the pseudo John Carpenter fucking scores. That's what it reminded me of. Like, it reminded me of like Halloween 3, like anytime there was like a chase sequence and it's all like, do 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 do, and you got like the going on,
like clown car music.
Yeah. Yeah, and then just I was like, what the fuck?
Which literally, like, John Carpenter is a motherfucking genius. His scores
He just dropped a new one, by the way.
Did he?
Yeah, you'll have to go check that shit out.
I'm gonna listen to it.
He's actually dropped 2 in like the last couple weeks, but
when we finish up, I'm gonna check it out.
The Godfather of synth, man.
Hell yeah. So John Carpenter, man, like, his music is 100% in tune with what he's done. I don't think anybody else could like take that or replicate it, because that's sort of what they try to do in this movie, right? They try to be like, okay, we're going to have that, throw in a little bit of that John Carpenter shit right here with a little bit of that Argento shit right here and a little bit of that fucking stuff from Maniac. And it leaves you, right? It leaves you just constantly being introduced to a ton of characters. And you're like, who the fuck are all of these people? Like, what was that person's name? It's like, do I even fucking care? Yeah, the dude with
the fucking flute.
Yeah.
I don't remember that guy's name. I just know he had a fucking flute.
I didn't know his fucking name until the third act of the movie.
I still don't know his name.
His name's fucking Cliff. I thought his name was goddamn
that does not sound like a flute player's name.
I thought his name was Giles the entire movie, because I looked up on IMDb.
Well, I'll say who's Giles like that. Well, yeah. Fuck it. It's not like it's going to matter. You're probably not even going to watch this movie. And if you start, you're probably not going to make it more than like 10 minutes in. Giles is the fucking guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's the Santa
guy.
Killer.
Everybody has that fucking guy, and Giles is this guy. Like, you
don't
need
be a
to
fucking
watch
Giles.
this movie.
You're being a fucking Giles right now.
You need to just listen to this podcast, or if you could listen to this podcast and just turn the movie on as we're narrating it for you, that's all you fucking need. It's better than the movie.
Yeah, or maybe if somebody doesn't think this podcast is good enough, they'll do like they did with this movie, and they'll edit a shorter version, and you can find that on YouTube, and you can watch that too.
So this leads us to another stupid, like, we cut to a back alley again, right? And there's a Santa staggering around drunk, and he just happens to walk straight into a fucking gun, right? That comes into frame and gets his goddamn brains blown out.
Yeah, it's like he walks straight into it with his fucking mouth open.
Yeah, with his mouth open. It's like he was like, it was like he was like yelling and walking forward at the same time instead of like screaming and running the other direction. It's like he was like scared but still walking forward, screaming, and then the dude just blows his fucking brains out. And I'm like,
it's like the doctor from Blood Rage whenever Terry's coming at her with a machete and she's just like, oh my God, and
he's
stays
coming from
there
50 yards away.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't tell me this dude didn't fucking deserve that. Like, he was asking for it. Like, if somebody pulls a gun on you, are you going to try and, like, run and grab it with your mouth? Like, I'm not. I'm going to get the fuck out of there. I'm going to go the other way. You know? But anyway, so this is where we meet Jerry, right? This next scene. When Cliff and Kate, they're out playing street music with a fucking flute. Like, I didn't even understand what this was about till later on in the movie.
That's some Jethro Tull shit, man.
Yeah, Jerry just happens to be like that creepy Instagram photographer, you know, guy that Jerry and Cliff. See, we get a weird cut here because they start talking, and so Kate is holding a hat to get collections for her and Cliff, and Jerry just walks up and he starts like running his mouth about some stupid shit that we don't care about, and he's like, "Oh, Kate, you look like I can't even remember, but have you been on TV?" Just like kind of flirting with her, and then she runs off all pissed because she was on TV. Apparently like a news broadcast talking about how her dad was killed by, you know, this fucking killer. And so she gets all pissed and runs off. And then it cuts to fucking, you know, Cliff and Jerry. And Jerry's basically saying, hey, you know, like, I'm into photography and all this. I got a studio. And cuts to them in a bar. And they're drinking. And Jerry's like, hey, you know, like, why don't you and Kate come over to my studio later? And, you know, he's like, okay. And he's like, maybe I'll even give you some training, I guess, talking about photography, right? If you bring that cute little blonde Kate with you. And lo and behold, right, they show up at his studio. And it's just all because Jerry wants to fuck Kate, right? We cut to Jerry, of course, taking basically like lingerie shots in his studio. Cliff and Kate show up to the studio, and Kate finds out that Jerry's trying to take some erotic photos of her, and Cliff is literally on board with it. Like a fucking scuzzball. He's just like, yeah, this is fucking a good idea, right?
Fuck yeah.
And he literally says, we can make a quick 50. Like, basically, like, stop being such a prude. You can make a quick $50.
Hey, and, according to the logic of this movie, for $50, anything goes.
Apparently, right?
We'll get to that later.
What is that for inflation, Justin? You want to look that up? How much is $50 worth in the 80s, you know, in today's money? I just want to know.
I'll be looking that up while you do some more talking about this wonderful movie.
Yeah, Cliff basically says you can put on he basically says you can put on a wig if you like, so people don't know it's you. And then Cliff whips out a Santa suit, or Jerry whips out a Santa suit out of nowhere, and he wants Kate to put that on for the shoot, basically be topless underneath. And Kate flips shit and storms out, right? And Jerry has no idea why. And this is when you'd expect Cliff to like go after her and console her and be like, hey, it's okay. But this dickhead just straight up, you know, he stays to spend time with the model that Jerry was taking shots
of. It's about
$125. God damn, $125. Come on, that's not even good. Like, that's not even a good model rate in today's money. Like, $125. But yeah, so you expect, like I said, Cliff to go after his girlfriend, right? Because she just like got presented with a Santa suit, knowing that her father, that was a Santa, got killed for being a Santa, and she runs out basically crying, upset, and Cliff is just like, fuck this, I'm gonna stay here because this topless model's over here, you know, because Jerry's like, you know, you can hang out with her, plus you're not gonna get any from Kate tonight. And he's like, and then I'm gonna have you do some street shots later on. And Cliff was like, what do you mean street shots, right?
You mean that fucking street photography shit?
Yeah, but so I don't know, Justin. There's a whole lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have to unpack all of it. It's not really, a lot of that part isn't worth mentioning anyway. So we can move on from there. But character development. Speaking of, you know, character development, if you want to develop your character, you guys need to go get some Everblack coffee. So we are going to take a quick sponsor break, and we will be right back. How's it going, creeps? One quick mid-episode break to tell you a little more about our sponsor. Since 2016, Everblack Coffee Company has delivered exceptional single-origin coffee and high fives all over the world. They understand that a cup of coffee is so much more than something you drink. That's why they source their beans from farms that only use fair trade and organic growing practices. When you buy coffee from Everblack, you can be certain that you're getting the highest quality coffee available by ethical means only. It's time to start looking at coffee differently. Head over to everblackcoffee.com and grab a bag for yourself. It's deliciously dark. Now back to the show. Welcome back. So when we left you guys, we were talking about, Jerry was wanting to do some street shots, right? So they go outside, they get locked out of the fucking building. And then, so she literally just starts exposing her breasts to Cliff, and he, for some reason, freaks out, and he runs off, right? So the model, now in her Santa suit, runs into the alley because everything in this fucking movie starts with an alleyway, apparently. So, of course, who the fuck does she run into in this alleyway? None other than our masked killer. And I want to point out the mask is fucking weird. It's like, so if you've seen Happy Death Day, like that baby mask that the dude wears, it's kind of like that. And so he's there and he pulls out a straight razor and he starts to like run it up her body, right? So she screams because she's literally just letting him fucking do it. Right. She's like, this is fucking cool. Weird. This is fine. This is cool. She could have ran the fuck away, but no, why not? Then you wouldn't have a fucking a story because, logic.
It's like these people are just letting him kill them, right? Like the dude that walks his mouth into the fucking gun and she's just like, oh, just, I'm not going to fight back. Just run the straight razor up and down my body.
Yeah. So then, the police, they show up and she's like crying and they just like run up to her. Right. And they like take her away. So Inspector Harris, he shows up at the model's apartment, the next day. Right. So you've got here in the show notes that she flashes the inspector. I don't remember that. So I'm thinking what they did is in the version I watched is they edited out all of that shit.
Yeah. So like he literally goes in and he says something about her being, I cannot remember, but she's like, I'm a professional. And she like starts flashing her tits at him. And I'm like, why the fuck is she not like traumatized still? Like literally last night she almost got killed in the nude. And like now she's like flashing this inspector as he walks up in her apartment. I'm like, what the fuck? Because what happened was they were knocking on her door and she's like, come in. And she says something like, I'm not moving or I'm not getting up or something like that. And she's like sitting on her bed with a robe on. And then he says something and she's like, yeah, I'm a professional, and flashes him. And I'm like, whatever.
Well, so then he starts questioning her, right? He's like, what does this motherfucker look like? And she says some dumb shit. She's like, his eyes, they sort of smiled, which is some absolute dumb shit, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't even reference it. So either the inspector thought that's fucking stupid, or or they just, when they wrote it, they were like, let's have him not react to what she said at all, even though he's literally asking her questions about what he looks like.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Yeah, so he's like, asking her, well, how tall is the motherfucker and shit like that. So then it cuts to the fucking like peep show place, right? And this weird, creepy old dude walks in. He's in a Santa suit. He kind of reminded me of Paul McCartney for some weird reason.
Yeah. So, I noticed he looked familiar.
Yeah,
he definitely looked like somebody.
Yeah, so he walks in and he like picks up the phone because it's one of those like, the girl's on one side of the glass and the guy's on the other side, and they communicate through the phone. And so he picks up the phone and he's watching this girl and she's dancing with headphones. And he tells her, you're too pretty to work in a place like this. And it's like, before so he asks if they can remove the glass, right? But then he's like, does your, like, the part that was weird to me, I don't know if she was joking or being serious, when he's like, does your mom know that you work here? And she's like, well, she should, she owns it. Yeah. And he's like, I live with my mom, do you live with your mom? And he's like, what the fuck does she say? She basically says that she's filling in for her mom. Or no, yeah, she says, I'm not even supposed to work. Like, I don't even actually work here. I'm just filling in for someone. And he's like, who, another girl? And she's like, no, my mom. And the way she says it's just like that. So you're like, is she kidding? Or is this really like her mom's business? And her mom's like, I'm sick. Can you go into work for me today? You know?
Yeah.
So,
And then he tells her, like, you're too pretty to be working in a place like this. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, first of all, why?
you're the one that came there, dude.
Why is that something dudes say? Like, oh, you're too pretty to have an OnlyFans, or you're too pretty to do sexual. It's like, the fuck does that have to do with anything, first of all? And second of all, like, you went there. Like, why would did you go there expecting to see ugly women?
Yeah, you're too pretty for me. Women? I can't get my rocks off because you're too fucking pretty.
You're just gorgeous. I gotta get the fuck up out of here. You know?
Yeah. So, she starts
did you catch the pedophile joke?
Oh yeah, where she's like, you sit there all day with like those kitties on your lap or whatever, and then she's she's pulling her shirt down, and then she's like, would you like me to sit on your lap? So it's like, but you're talking about sitting on his lap in a sexual way, and you just mentioned like all the kitties sitting on his lap at the mall or whatever, and I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah, because she's like, well. What did she say? She said something
like,
about,
do you want
like,
me to sit on your lap? Like, basically like,
who knows what you'd get up to?
Ready to fucking go. Oh yeah. Yeah.
She says,
the fuck?
She's like, who knows what you would get up to when you have all those little kids sitting on your lap all day? Basically like saying like, oh, you've been horny and primed all day. So if I came and sat on your lap, you're going to want to fuck. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, am I the only one thinking that this is like some like weird, like, pedophile joke? Like, not into this. And the
80s were a wild time, man.
The 80s were a wild time where they're like, guess what, motherfucker? Like, but see, that's the thing too, is like, you never fucking can tell, like, especially in films like this, because people could get away with all kinds of shit and saying all kinds of shit. So you don't know whether they're being serious or whether it's just like really poking fun at like a sensitive subject or what the fuck, you're like, well, let's pretend we didn't hear that and keep moving forward.
Yeah, pretty much. So basically, he continues to hit on her, and then this is where she tells him, for $5, I'll do this. For $15, I'll do this. For $50, anything goes. And then this motherfucker like comes out of the shadows behind this guy and fucking stabs him in the neck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she sees it and she's like, oh my fucking God. And she freaks out and she runs off. Then it cuts. Like, it literally just cuts. Instead of, like, they come back to that later. The fact that the girl saw him, kill the dude. But instead of, like, busting through the fucking glass and getting her right then and there, like, it cuts. Which we'll come back to that in a minute or later as we go through, because
It cuts to a more realistic thing, right? So, I mean, this movie's full of, like, all kinds of plot holes and weird cuts. But, like, the most realistic thing is, like, when it cuts to Cliff and Kate, which is the next scene, and they're basically arguing about Cliff's bullshit from the night before, like, at Jerry's studio. Like, that is some real shit that would happen in real life. Like, yeah, definitely, if you pull some shit like that, you better expect your girlfriend or whatever, wife, to be on your ass. You know what I mean? So, like, they're arguing about it. And, of course, she says the stuff like, oh, you were out all night looking for whatever the fucking model's name was. And I bet she's... And then they get a knock at the door, and she's like, I bet that's her. You know what I mean? It's just, like, such real shit. Like, that was something that the writer probably experienced in real life, because he's like, yeah, fuck, I'm putting this in here. Like... But it turns out being the inspector, right? He shows up and lets Kate and Cliff know about the model being attacked in the street, because they had no fucking idea, because... Cliff is just, he's a pussy. He's a pussy, plain and simple, right? Like, he's just like, well, I'm going to not go with my girl when she's upset. And then he's like, I'm going to stay with the model. And then when the model's, starts like trying to hit on him, he's like, fuck you, I'm out of here, and leaves her out in the street, right? So he's just like, fuck Cliff. I'm team fuck Cliff. And, so he lets, the inspector shows up, right? And lets him know about the model being attacked in the street. And then we cut again to another Santa, right? He stumbles out of a bar drunk and hops on a bicycle, of all things, right? And he starts getting harassed by some street punks. 80 Street Punks horror team right here. I'm pro that. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, fuck yeah. This is a redeeming factor.
While we were watching this, I said, $100 says that between me and Andrew, the fact that there are some 80s street punks in this motherfucker, that's going to be a talking point.
Oh, for sure.
And here we are.
They do what they do. They went ahead and they made these poor 80 street punks villains.
Of course.
Just not right. They start chasing the Santa when he's riding his bike, right? So this dude, he freaks the fuck out and drops his bike and runs off. And the punks, of course, they steal it. They all like try and ride it at the same time. Some really stupid shit. And the Santa, Justin, he wanders into a dark part of town and ultimately ends up in a dimly lit building, which this whole fucking scene threw me like into confusion, right? Because the building is like some sort of like backstage theater space or like a death torture museum or something, if you've ever been to one of those, right? I mean, did you know what was going on here? Because I had no fucking clue.
I mean, not really. But again, to be honest, like half the time I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
I was
and
like,
it's not even like, I'm not even saying that from a point of, oh, the version I was watching, was poor quality and that shit. It's like, it's literally just this movie was just a bunch of random shots. Like parts of this literally could have been rearranged and it wouldn't have made any less fucking sense.
Right, because they did stupid shit like this. So when the Santa runs into this building, there's a woman there with a bunch of papers, right? Of course, she has fucking papers. And he basically kind of shoves past her and she drops all of her fucking papers because that's something that happens in every single fucking movie ever. And when she does, her glasses fall off her face. And guess what happens next? The killer walks through the building and he steps on the woman's glasses. I'm like, are you kidding me? What were they doing? What were they doing in like London at this time that they were like, guys, and guess what? In the next scene, he steps on her fucking glasses after he makes her drop her papers. I saw this in American cartoons. This is going to be fucking good. They're going to like this. Yeah. So, and then, Santa, he keeps running through, right? And he begins going into this weird castle dungeon theater set. Like I said, it's like a torture museum or something like that. If you guys have ever been in one of those, because it shows a lot of
like old weapons and torture devices and shit.
Yeah, like a whole bunch of medieval shit, right? And I'm like, what am I watching?
We're going to get medieval on this motherfucker.
Yeah, a whole bunch of weird cuts happen. And Santa is lost in this place, right? He's kind of like stumbling around looking for his way out. He can kind of sense that somebody's following him, right? Because you can see different cuts of our killer. And I think he has like a hatchet or something and he throws it a couple times at the fucking guy and it goes into the wall. And the guy's like, oh, fuck, I'm going to continue to get lost in here because that's a good idea. And sure enough, he rounds the fucking corner and guess who's there? It's the killer and he stabs him in the fucking stomach. And it was like all of this weird shit happened for absolutely no reason. It's the world's shittiest chase scene for him to just get stabbed in the stomach. And I'm like,
I was at least hoping for some kind of fucking like badass kill with some of the torture shit, but no.
Right, he walks over to the guillotine, right? Like the Santa walks over to the guillotine and he looks at it and he's like, oh, and runs away. I'm like, I was fully expecting him to get his fucking head chopped off right there. And I would have been like, oh, okay, this all makes sense of why he ran in here. It's because they wanted to do this guillotine gag. But
it's keeping you on your toes, man. The guillotine, you expected it.
Yeah.
They were like, we can't give them what they fucking... There's a twist.
Yeah, there's a twist. We're going to twist right here. Let's make an even shittier kill than what would have been cool. And I'm like...
I think the only reason the kills like piss me off so much is because the first like Santa Claus kill is literally the fucking like stab through the fucking the mouth, right? And for those of you watching the video version, I apologize. My camera just fucking died. But once we get to the end of the segment, we will get that battery switched out. But we're going to keep rolling for you audio listeners. Are
you sure you don't want to switch it out now?
Oh, I'm positive. Okay. I don't want people to see the faces I make when I'm talking about this fucking movie.
So after this, right? After he gets stabbed in the stomach twice by our killer, Inspector Harris, right? This is the older inspector. He announces to the other detective, because we cut to their office. Detective, what the fuck is his name? I never even got his name throughout the entire film. He says he's going to retire. Right. He says, this is my last case. And I'm like, fucking good. Like, you suck as a detective, an inspector, whatever the fuck you are. You suck. Even by an American standards, you suck. And I wish that this being his last case.
Now here's where I'm confused. Like, I'm genuinely confused. So I thought that was Harris Because isn't Harris like the killer's brother? Like that's revealed later.
Yeah, that's the old dude, Harris.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about
No, the cowboy hat wearing fucking guy.
yeah, that's who I thought you were talking about.
That's Detective what's the fuck his name? I don't know.
Yeah, detective what the fuck.
So then we cut to the inspector at a fucking winter carnival circus thing, right? Do you remember this scene, Justin? Which is just random as hell. They're like, all right, guys, what can we throw in here that's weird as shit?
I just remember
Winter
the two
Carnival
Santas.
Circus.
I remember the two Santas walking out of the fucking bathroom, just randomly having a fucking stupid ass conversation.
Right. And then in this big top tent looking thing, we have a Santa that's on stage, right? He's being weird as fuck. He's handing out candy to all these little kids. He's just saying really stupid shit that nobody cares about. And he's basically like, "Oh, I'm all out of candy now. Get the fuck out, kids." And then the crowd clears out and Santa gets stabbed in the fucking eye by our killer. Like literally that is how it happens. It's like, "Oh, here's a winter carnival. There's nothing that leads up to describe why this is even there. And then here's Santa handing out candy, and then it's just pitch black and all the crowd is gone, and then he gets fucking stabbed in the eye." And I'm like, what?
His
and then
eye, did you notice the fucking eyeball literally like slides down his face? Yeah.
And then like before I can even be like, what the fuck happened? We cut again to Kate and Jerry sucking at being street musicians. Not Jerry, Kate and Cliff sucking at being street musicians. You know, and just now in this scene, we learn that this is what they fucking do for a job. That should have been.
Like, dude rolls up to them and is like, "Is this what you do for a living?" And she's like, "Sometimes."
Yeah.
What do you mean sometimes? What the fuck do you do the other times?
Yeah. Inspector Harris rolls up and starts just being a dick, right? Accusing Cliff, which was wrong the entire fucking movie, right? And Cliff is a bitch, you know. But walks off like a G so he doesn't incriminate himself to the feds, right? He's just like, you know, I know this guy's talking shit to me and my girl, but, you know, I'm going to continue just being this fucking, this pussy. And, you know, I'm not going to say anything back to him, and just walks the fuck off. So it's kind of like he's like this fucking coward, but then it's like he just kind of plays it cool sometimes. He's like, you know what, fuck the police. And he walks away so he doesn't incriminate himself. But then he leaves his girl there to deal with it, right?
He just doesn't want to mess up his hair, dude. He just doesn't want to mess up his hair.
And then guess what? We cut again, Justin, to the other inspector, what the fuck's his name? Detective, who gives a fuck, questioning the peep show girl about the murder, right? The inspector or detective asks if she knows anything or saw the assailant, you know, during her little peep show headphone dance party, right? And she says, "Oh, he had smiling eyes." The inspector's like, "Not this stupid shit again." Like, literally, you can see that on his face. He's like, the fuck are they talking about? What does that even mean? And tells her to go downstairs and see Sergeant Stevens.
It's not even poetic.
Right, yeah. He's like, what the fuck is this? He's like, all right, well, glad I brought you all the way down here for this dumb shit. There is one Sergeant Stevens that's going to give you a lift home, because if I take you, I have to hear more of your stupid mouth. And she, of course, goes downstairs, right? And she doesn't wait for Sergeant Stevens because she talks to another officer. I guess that's what they're called over there in England, or the Scotland Yard people. She talks to another person, and he's like, "Yeah, Stevens just coincidentally went around the corner for a minute. He'll be back." And she's like, "Well, tell him not to wait on me. Tell him I went ahead and took myself." And of course, she doesn't go home, Justin, because she's a working girl. She goes straight back to the peep show theater. And if you want to take it from there, like, I'm just getting angry even thinking about how this movie plays out.
Yeah. Well, didn't we miss? All right. Okay. No. We're good. So, see, I'm getting all the events of this film fucking like mixed up.
Well, there's.
Do what?
I was gonna say there's just so many fucking cuts that it's hard to keep track of.
Right. Well, let's skip forward a little bit. Let's go to the another drunken Santa. Right. Of course. It's the stereotypical, like, these dudes work at, like, you know, outlet stores or some bullshit. Like, they're these like for hire Santa Clauses. They're all alcoholics, apparently, right? They've all got their little flasks that they put in their suits. This is where Billy Bob Thornton's entire fucking movie was based on, these fucking alcoholic Santa Clauses. So, you know, this drunk Santa dude, you know, he stumbles into a fucking theater where the ticket holder throws him the fuck out into the alley because he's like, "Hey, man, you know, you're drunk. disorderly. You got to stop your shit. So there's a knife like just waved in his fucking face. So he runs back into the theater past the ticket holder, who's like, oh hell no. So he starts chasing after this motherfucker, and of course the killer's following him. So a band is about to go on stage in the fucking theater. So the drunken Santa, he's doing dumb drunken Santa shit while the band's performing, and it's like an 80s montage that cuts between the fucking the band playing and Santa being chased. And it's just fucking, I don't know, dude. Like, this movie has just so much. They were like, let's fucking, you got an idea? Great. Fucking, how about you, David? You got an idea?
My cousin's in a band. Let's get him some screen time.
Yeah, fuck yeah. How about you, Steven? You got a fucking idea? All right. Fuck yeah. And they were just like...
Steven does not have an idea because he went around the corner. He was supposed to take Peep Show Girl home. He's done left the building. He is not giving any ideas.
Fuck no.
He's like, I'm not taking that fucking Peep Show theater girl home because she talks some dumb shit. I'm out of here.
Yeah, so the whole time, the song that the band's playing, you know, they're trying to be like, ooh, we're going to be artsy and, you know, do some foreshadowing. And so the lyrics are literally saying, I'm coming to get you. So Santa is killed beneath the stage. And then when the section of the stage that's raised, you know, our Santa is lying there dead. And the singer of the band, she's like, oh, fuck. There's a dead dude there. So they literally knocked it. They knocked him dead, you know, with that performance. It was just too fucking good.
So all of the dumb shit that they have just thrown in there thus far, right? Like, what they could have done is they could have made this more of a dynamic scene, right? Instead of including so much dumb shit before. Like, they could have had like the singer screaming like she did when she sees the dead body come up from the bottom of the stage, and they could have showed like some sort of mass hysteria in the audience, right? Like people trying to get the fuck out, right? But no, like they totally just were like, oh, well, let's just cut it right there, right? And then we cut to Kate, right? She's trying to get a hold of the detectives on the phone. Again, this happens like 4 times throughout the fucking movie. That is, again, one of the most realistic things is somebody trying to call the fucking cops and then the cops never like answering the phone. They're just like never fucking there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I need help. And like, at this point, Kate's already solved the fucking murder. Like, or she's already solved the whole fucking crime, right? She already knows what's going on. But you got Detective, Tweedledee and Tweedle fucking Dumb that are just like rolling around, like talking to the fucking wrong people, trying to figure shit out when they just needed to be with Kate the entire time.
Yep. But that would make too much sense. So, okay, so this motherfucker decides he's going to go take a piss. And literally, dude must have a thin ass dick because the killer comes in the bathroom. This scene is shot very Giallo style. It shows up close, like the killer pulls out the straight razor, and he literally walks up behind the Santa and walks over beside him, reaches around him. He gives him the full reach around and fucking in one slice cuts the dude's dick off. And like there's blood spraying all in the urinal, and then it got all over his hands. So now the Santa's like doing the drunken thing where he's like in the bathroom and his hands are on the wall and he starts sliding down. I don't know why I'm still acting this out as if my camera's fucking recording any of this, but you're getting a good show out of it at least.
Yeah.
And there's blood everywhere. Like, but when he cuts his dick off, like it literally like starts spraying out like he's still taking a piss, but it's blood. But it's like, that's another thing I wanted to point out. The Giallo influence. All the blood in this is like neon red. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, you guys weren't even trying to like cover up this like fucking Giallo influence at all. But so yeah, he cuts the dude's dick off with a fucking straight razor in one go.
Which all of this doesn't make any it doesn't help the movie propel forward, right? Because it literally cut to a mall Santa with no fucking reason, right? Other than this guy's just killing Santa Clauses, right? Which doesn't really describe why he kidnapped the Peep Show girl, because I think we skipped over that. Like, he kidnapped the Peep Show girl and locked her in a fucking like little dungeon apartment because she was running down the road after he chased her out of her fucking peep show booth, and
okay, well, that's
basically
what I
pulled her
wanted to.
into
So let's
a
talk about
basement
that for
apartment.
just a second, because that's what I wanted to talk about. So, you know, when he kills the Santa in the peep show booth, the girl sees it happen and she just runs away, and the killer lets her go. But then later, he comes back to the peep show booth and she's talking to him through the phone, and she's like, you know, why are you acting so weird or whatever? And then it shows like a close up of his eyes, and then she's like, it's you. And she goes to hang the phone up and run, and he like busts through the glass, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, why didn't you do that the first fucking time?
Yeah. Those eyes weren't smiley. I'll tell you that. When I fucking seen him, that's instantly what I thought. I said, why are they saying this guy has smiley eyes? This guy's fucking eyes look frowny.
Yeah. But so he's got her, she's like kidnapped, chained up at his house, and he's like giving her some bullshit speech about sex work and how, you know, she's not selling her body, she's selling her soul. And then he tells her, he's shit. Like, yeah, so he's like, I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna leave. And I want you to think about your fucking the error of your ways while I'm gone. And she's like, then you'll let me go? And he's like, no, then I'll kill you. And I'm just like, the fuck?
Yeah. And then, all right, so okay, so now you guys know little Bo Peep Show is chained up in his basement. And that takes us, right, over to after Santa castration happens, right? Kate goes to Inspector Harris's house, right? And this dude is just straight up vibing to some piano shit, right, that he's got on vinyl. Because she walks in and she's like, she hears the piano music. She's like, oh, wait, do you have somebody over? And he's like, I've got nobody here, you know, and you're like, oh, fuck, I know where this is going. So he starts to kind of hit on Kate a little bit here. And it's like, you know, lets her know that basically that he was pulled off her case, right? Like, I'm no longer working on your case. And then all of a sudden, Harris takes Kate out to dinner, right? Inspector clapped them cheeks is like, you know what? You want to go over to the Sizzler? I got you. And then like Cliff rolls the fuck up out of nowhere, right? Because you see him walk through the front of the restaurant, and the what do you call it? The guy, the concierge at the front of the fucking restaurant is like, you're not dressed nice enough to be in here, because Cliff plays a fucking flute for a living, right? So he's like, you're not fucking dressed nice enough to be in here. And he's like looking into the fucking dining hall, and he wonders why Kate is out to dinner with Inspector Steal Your Girl, right? He's like, wait a fuck, why the fuck is she here? And then Kate's like, oh, of course he's gonna show up, dumb fucking Cliff. My boyfriend, of course, is gonna come find me when I'm cheating on him with fucking Cliff, or fucking Inspector Cheek Clapper. I don't fucking know what to call him. Then you get a weird cut of Kate back at home, right? The killer shows up and starts hassling Kate, you know? But Kate's a fucking G. Like,
but at this point, it's revealed who he is. It's Giles, right?
It's Gene Simmons. It's fucking Gene Simmons.
Well, he looks like a combination of Gene Simmons and what was that fucking aerobics dude in the fucking 80s?
Oh my God.
He always wore the fucking leotard.
Yeah, his name is something Simmons too.
We'll figure that out and come back to that. But so also something we've kind of left out through these beats, like at random points in the movie, Giles is going to the police, trying, like, you know, giving them like random like clues and shit. He tells them he's a reporter. So through the whole movie, you already see this guy, and it's kind of obvious he's the killer. It's not even written clever to where you're like, oh my God, it's him. The first time I saw this motherfucker, I thought that he was the killer.
You ever see somebody, Justin, and you're like, that dude's a fucking sociopath? Yeah. All the time. All the fucking time for me.
So now he's in Kate's apartment, right? And he's like, you've told the police, or she tells him that she's figured out that he's Detective Harris's brother, and Detective Harris's real name is Harrison, and he changed his name because of all this backstory bullshit. And he's like, you know, you're clever, you know, what else have you figured out? And then she's like, well, I've got to call this inspector back. You know, I just had lunch with him. He's expecting a call. I owe him a call, even though I've got a fucking boyfriend. And then he's like, you ain't calling no fucking buddy. And he stabs her in the stomach, which is his thing, apparently. So,
did you know, this is sort of on topic, sort of off topic, talking about like you see somebody and you know they're a fucking sociopath, right? Like this fucking guy. did you know that? Let me see. That I'm looking up how many murderers the average person will pass in their lifetime. So there's this article that this person wrote, basically talking about the average person's lifespan and how many murderers that they would pass, statistically speaking, over their lifetime. And you're going to walk past 10.76 murders over the average lifespan of 75 years. So from now, if you live to the time you're 75, you statistically are potentially going to walk by 11 murderers throughout your life. That is fucking gnarly, right? Like, it doesn't say this person may have killed one person. So this one person, one of these 10 people that you walk past could be a serial killer. It's fucking, it's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's this guy, totally, 100%. But I never thought that it wasn't him. So like we said, he kills Kate, right? And then the inspector's like trying to call her, and he's not getting an answer. So now he's like, oh shit, something's wrong, right? So I've got to go back. And he shows up at the apartment, and he's like, oh shit, he got her. They don't even it's like they don't even give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't even fucking care. Well, you know what it is? They're like, oh, she solved the murder, so if she's dead, then we can take credit for solving it, kind of deal.
Yep. But I mean, it's just, I don't know, this fucking movie, man.
So after he kills Kate, right, the Gene Simmons killer dude runs off, and he ends up in some weird ass car garage warehouse thing, right? Some place that they're storing all these cars. Inspector Cowboy Hat, right, is hot on his trail. The killer, set up some dumbass Home Alone-esque type of trap. Do you remember the scene at all, or is
where the fucking car,
yeah. So he has like a car battery. When I don't know when he had fucking time to do this, but he sets up a car battery and connects it with jumper cables to the car door. And the inspectors are going around like looking in these cars to see if fucking Gene Simmons dude is hiding in any of the cars, right, trying to elude him. And he gets to this car. And he goes to look in there. When he grabs the door, he gets electrocuted in the most comically and like unrealistically way, right? And it's very Home Alone-esque, like I said, where you got Marv getting electrocuted in Home Alone 1. I'm like, did they really do this? Yep. I was just expecting him to like show, like in Home Alone where they show a skeleton and shit, and he's sitting there screaming. All fried. Yeah. And I'm like, God damn, that was stupid, right? And then it cuts. He kills the inspector.
Of course it does.
It cuts, right? It cuts to the killer with Peep Show Girl, who has been keeping captive, who he has been keeping captive, right, in his dungeon basement. This dude's all being cordial, right? So all of a sudden he's like being super cool to her, and he's like feeding her and shit, right? But then she starts talking about Christmas, which starts pissing him the fuck off, right? Because of course, he hates Santa Claus, which means
right. Well, first she does the typical like trying to, use logic, because he brings her food, but she's still handcuffed. So she's like, I can't eat with my hands tied.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, you're right. You got a point, but don't try anything stupid.
Yeah, don't do anything.
Of course she's going to try, of course the whole point of her getting out of the handcuffs is to do something stupid. Well, it's not really stupid. She's trying to escape. So like, I get it. But at the same time, the setup is, you know what the fuck's happening.
She's fucking stupid. And this next shot proves it, right? Because she starts talking about Christmas, and this dude starts spazzing out again like a fucking douche when he hears the word Christmas. So she grabs the shittiest prop known to man and hits him with it, right? It's like a foam board. And you can tell that it is like, I don't know what the fuck they did. Like, I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but they had this prop. Right? Shittiest prop I've ever seen in any movie ever. Right? So she hits him with it. And of course he's like, oh, fuck, knocks him over. And she runs to the door. And this is the weirdest fucking thing. It's locked. So first of all, why would you run over there? The dude's got it fucking locked. But, she turns to our fucking killer and asks him, where's the key? Like, why the fuck?
Yeah, every time I hear anything about keys now, I just think of the keys. The keys.
I want to know who wrote this fucking bit of dialogue, right? Like, she's either saying it to think out loud, which is, you know, not showing, it's telling. That's like one of the cardinal rules of writing. Or she's literally asking the killer, where's the key? Like he's going to be like, oh, I got it right here, and then give it to her, right?
I found you a key. You had to try harder than that. I don't know, man.
But that's literally sort of what ends up happening, right? Because Killer Gene Simmons, he has the key. And lets little Bo Peep Show know that he's going to kill her because it's Christmas, right? So she gets the key, runs the fuck up out of the apartment, and she runs upstairs because why would you not run up this long ass flight of stairs to the roof, right? Or wherever the fuck you think you're going to go. Like this is how I'm going to get away from you, right? And very, like you said, very Maniac-esque. You talked about this a little bit, right? Where he kind of follows her up the flight of stairs.
Yeah, and it reminded me of the subway scene from Maniac.
Yeah. And you're like, this dude's going to fucking get her right here. Like, finally, he is going to shut her the fuck up once and for all. Like, I was pulling for a little Bo Peep Show. Like, I really was. Like, I was like, you know what? I hope she fucking makes it because Kate already died. Kate was a fucking G. R.I.P. Kate. And, you know, but then she did that dumb key shit and hit him with that shitty prop. And I was like, look, no, she's got to fucking go. And so he follows her up the stairs, right? He blocks her in. And he begins to swing this chain that he's fucking got, right? Like he's who is it? Ghost Rider, right?
Oh yeah,
like he's fucking Ghost Rider, like swinging this fucking chain around trying to hit. He misses her like all fucking 5 times, and she's like 2 feet in front of him. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know? And so when he swings the last time, the chain wraps around like the stair rail, and you know, she's super smart all of a sudden. So when it wraps around, she grabs it and she yanks down on the underside of where the chain's at, on the underside of the railing, and basically catapults this motherfucker off like some sort of medieval goddamn weaponry, right? Like, because like for some reason when she yanks on the chain, it gives the leverage, right, to like sling him over the rail. But instead of him just letting the fuck go of the chain, he just holds on to it.
He holds on. He's like,
it's like, here the fuck we go. I'm like, first of all, could you imagine? This dude is probably, you look at him, he's probably 220 pounds, right? I don't know. I'm just guessing. What would you say, Justin?
I'd say he's probably about 195.
He's a big dude, right? Like
he's
fucking
a tall.
Gene Simmons.
I mean, he's not big. He's tall as fuck though. He is a tall fucking dude. So he's probably about 210.
And she's probably like 5'6", but she's got the strength of a fucking bull because she just catapults this dude off like he's a goddamn ragdoll. And I'm like, first of all, wow. Second of all, how did they even think of like making this the kill scene, right? So yeah, so he flies several stories down to the fucking
several motherfucking stories.
Yeah,
like, you
it's
would
like
think that the fucker like
it's like 6 or 8.
Exploded.
It's like 6 or 8 stories, right? So she runs down the fucking stairs because she's like, oh well. All of a sudden, I know this is the way out and not going up the way I fucking started to begin with, right? It's like, don't even get me started on that bullshit. So now she's like, well, okay, well, this is the way out. So runs down the fucking stairs, and she walks over to the killer to see if he's still dead. And guess what? The motherfucker's not. Right?
Yep, there's a twist.
There's a twist, Justin. You can take it from there. This directional shit's getting me mad.
Well, so basically she runs down to the stairs. She's like, okay, I killed this motherfucker. Which you'd think, as far as he fell anyway, there should be blood. He should have like busted his head. He would have broken his neck, broken bones, whatever. So he's like, I'm going to fucking, just grab you. And he's like, he goes to strangle her, right? I'm pretty sure he like goes to strangle her. Because then it cuts, of course. If you thought there were no more random cuts, you were goddamn wrong. So there's a cut and it goes back to a memory he has of Christmas, right? Which now this again reminds me of things like Maniac and Pieces and Deep Red, which the
Silent
producers
Night,
of
Deadly
Pieces
Night.
actually did this. Yeah, so all this is like a melting pot of every other movie that fucking exists. So he's at this Christmas party and all these adults, like it looked like clowns coming out of a clown car. They come out of the kitchen. Like you remember when he's just sitting in the fucking floor and it's like all the people just start coming out of the kitchen. Like when he's just like, So anyway, this dude dressed as Santa. Wasn't that his dad?
I'm pretty sure it was his
right?
fucking dad. Yeah.
Yeah, so his dad comes out, dressed as Santa, and he dumps out this bag of toys, and like he's picking them up and distributing them to everybody. And then he got like this little pocket knife. It's like a Swiss Army knife, right?
Hell yeah.
You know, it's got like the corkscrew and screwdriver and the knife and all that. So now he opens it, and they're talking about, oh, you know, you got a knife for, you know, such a big boy knife for such a big boy or whatever. And he's sitting there like stabbing the air with it.
Yeah, like take the fucking knife away from this kid.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
So then he goes upstairs and he opens the door, and his dad, like, well, first of all, he opens the door and then it cuts to an immediate close up of some bare ass tits.
Some bare ass titties.
Yeah. And
no better way to word that. Some bare ass
Well, I'm
titties.
just saying, I wasn't expecting it. It's like he opens the door and it's like, bam, there's a nipple in my face. And
what happens?
Then he looks, so his dad, still dressed as Santa, is you know, trying to get it with this woman that's not Giles's mom.
Oh, Santa was getting it.
Yeah, so this is like some classic, you know, some mom, you know, the little kid's like a mama's boy, and now, you know, he sees the dad cheating.
He sees he sees mama kissing Santa Claus, but it ain't mama.
Yeah, it ain't mama. So then his actual mom is like calling for the husband or whatever, and she comes upstairs and comes in the room and now sees it. So she covers Giles's eyes, and the dad, like, he literally straight up just like Rick James slaps, and I'm like, what the fuck? He literally
What a bad
Rick
father! Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he like. So the mom's all like, what the hell? And he literally, like Dave Chappelle, Rick James slaps the mom down the stairs.
The worst fucking like stair fall ever too. She's so slow and like.
And then Giles is standing there, so he's got the little so he's got the little Swiss Army knife, and he's literally like holding it to his dad, and then it cuts to a POV shot of Giles, and his dad literally just smacks.
It's so
the dumbest part of the movie.
It's so stupid.
His dad in the POV shot, like it shows Giles, he's holding the knife up to his dad, and his dad looks him straight in the eye and slaps that shit out of his hand.
It's so dumb.
It's so fucking stupid.
What a like terrible father though. Like what the fuck? Like
yeah. So basically, dad throws his mom down the stairs, and then he's like, I'm gonna fucking cut you, and he's like, get that shit out of my face, beats the shit out of him. So then guess what happens next?
We don't cut, do we?
We cut. We fucking cut. So the last thing you see is get your ass down the stairs, get that knife out of my face, and now we cut. So now we cut to Detective Harris, who we have now established is the older brother of Giles, the killer. So he's just chilling, hanging out at his house, and he's got a gift.
He's
like,
vibing.
There's a gift left
He's vibing
for him.
to that piano music.
Yeah, he's vibing to that piano music again. Only now there's no Kate to seduce. So he sees this gift, and he picks up the card and he looks at it, and it says some shit like, you know, a gift from your dear brother or something.
Some bullshit.
So he sits down, he looks at it, it's a music box, he winds it up, starts playing, and he sits down to relax.
This is so fucking dumb. Like, where the fuck?
Yeah, so he sits down to relax, and he's listening to this music box, and then boom! It's a fucking bomb, and it's not even a big enough explosion to actually have fucking killed him, dude, because it cuts. So the camera's like almost like an over the shoulder shot, and it shows the music box blow up, and he literally just goes, like, and then guess what? Credits roll.
Then it cuts to the credits.
That's like, the whole fucking movie.
I'm like, what the fuck? Like, a bomb? They were just like, how are we going to fucking end this movie? Good fucking God, how are we going to end this? They're like, I know.
With
let's
a
fucking
bang.
Let's make it. I was like, really? So Giles could have been building bombs the whole fucking time, but instead he just wanted to stab people in the stomach.
Stab people in the stomach.
Like, what the fuck? Do you know how many Santa Clauses he could have killed if he would have just like corralled them all up, been like, oh, I'm having a free dinner for all the Santa Claus, and just made a fucking bomb and blew them all the fuck up. Like, but no, he just wants to go around stabbing people in the stomach. What a fucking idiot.
I fucking guess.
What a
but yeah, dude. So
that's the fucking movie. That is literally a beat by beat of this piece of shit, steamy pile piece of shit called Don't Open Till Christmas from 1984. And
sadly, I will say 10 out of 10 would fucking watch again. I would watch this again. Yeah.
The only way, okay, if I was going to watch this again, it's because I've gone full on Giles and I've tied somebody up in my fucking basement and I'm going to force them to watch this out of torture.
You mean like fucking you'd go a Clockwork Orange on somebody and make them fucking
yes
watch fucking,
or like Addams Family, like tie some kids up in a cabin and make them fucking watch this. You know how they do Wednesday and Pugsley with the Disney movies? Yeah, same shit.
Okay,
like,
well, let me isn't that when he's like, how long do we have to stay here? She's like, till we break.
Yeah, no, this is literally what I'm going to use as a form of like punishment for my son. I'm gonna be like, oh well, guess what, guess we're gonna go watch Don't Open Till Christmas again.
Okay, but I'm saying, like, I would watch this again to make fun of it. Like, I wouldn't be like, fuck, you know what I want to watch today? Man, I want to watch fucking Get That Knife Out of My Face. That's what the fuck I want to watch.
Hell yeah. Well, I will tell you this. If you know anybody that honestly likes this movie, like I said, tell them to message me because I need to have a long discussion with them and find out what other kind of movies they watch so I can make sure I never fucking watch those movies.
I also want to point out, if any of you have this on VHS and you want to part with it, hit your boy up. But
well, you go ahead and you waste your money on this. I
didn't say I was paying for it.
Oh, you mean somebody that's just fucking getting rid of it? If I had it, I would give this to you twice.
If you have this on VHS and you've listened to this podcast and we have opened your eyes and you have realized the error of your ways and you want to get rid of the VHS, look me up on social media. IM me. I'll give you my address. You can send that shit.
I would rather watch Blood Rage than watch this pile of shit again.
I would double feature this in Blood Rage.
What the? Did we just unbecome best friends?
Yup.
All right.
Fucking stepbrothers.
So
no, I mean, I would watch it again, like I said, as a joke, or like I would have this playing like in the background, right? Like I wouldn't be like, man, I want to fucking watch this.
Like have it playing on Christmas morning as your family comes down the stairs to open presents.
Yeah.
Guess what? I hope the peep show part's on when the family comes down to open gifts.
No, Katie would come downstairs, she'd see what I'm watching, and she would immediately be like, nope, tell my daughter, we're having our Christmas upstairs.
Daddy's watching that Inspector clap those cheeks.
Yep.
I'm out of here.
Inspector clap your girl.
Clap your girl.
Yep.
Guys, I hate this movie. But other than that, like the kills in it were bullshit. In my opinion, I think they were boring. I guess my favorite one was literally it's a toss up. It's probably a tie, Justin, in between the electrocution kill because it was so like comical and so like reminded me of Home Alone and just so stupid.
You mean there was a kill in this movie that wasn't comical?
And the kill at the end with the goddamn bomb because I was like. That came out of fucking nowhere. You know, I'm like, what the fuck?
Actually, it wasn't even confirmed that Inspector Harris died in that. Like I said, it wasn't a big explosion. So Black Mass Films needs to make Don't Open Till Christmas
again
2. Yeah. So we got this. Black Mass Films coming at you.
Don't open till next Xmas, Christmas, or whatever the fuck. Don't open till next Christmas. God damn. Here we go, guys. Are y'all ready for this?
Yep. I don't know. My favorite kill is still the stab through the throat when he's got the little party horn. But that was literally like the first Santa kill. So it's like you opened up on such a big way. And then I was like, okay, now the next Santa, he's throwing in the fucking like his face in the barrel and then he catches on fire. I was like, oh shit, this is going to be like a collection of kills. Isn't that even what one of the taglines is supposed to be? It's like 14 unforgettable kills, the ultimate festive slasher. But probably like 80% of those kills were stabs to the stomach.
A guy wearing a Santa suit getting stabbed in the stomach. I mean, I think that it's hard for me to say much positive about this. I mean, like, I really didn't enjoy it. I paid close attention to it, right? And it's easy to get tricked by the trailer because Justin sent me this. I'd never seen this. I've never even fucking heard of it until he told me. And then like I saw everybody fucking posting about it because I started paying attention to the name. And it's hard to find online. Like I said, Justin's was 15 minutes shorter than mine, so I don't know what the fuck they cut out of his. But I found it on like some like horror website or some shit like that where it was a better copy than his. So it's online, but it's just hard to find. But the trailer makes it look fucking gnarly. Like we watched the trailer last week, and we were like, "Oh, we gotta do an episode on that. That looks so rad, right?" And it literally just showed like the coolest parts of the film, right? Like
it made it out like it was going to be like this epic like exploitation kind of horror film,
right?
When in reality it just, I don't know,
Santaploitation, Xmas-ploitation. Yeah. You know, like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and
which is fucking fantastic.
Right, like those are fucking rad. Black Christmas, you know, that are your Christmas exploitation films. This one does not live up to it, even though it's sort of in the same vein of like a childhood trauma, like we talked about, dealing with Santa Clauses, and then growing up and hating Christmas and becoming a killer because of it, right? Is basically Silent Night, Deadly Night, which came out the same year. So it's kind of weird, like were they like cheating off of their paper? Because it's kind of weird that you have two horror Christmas movies, right? And then one turned out really well, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then this one, which it was just like a fucking total train wreck that was copying everything.
They were cheating off the paper, but Silent Night, Deadly Night was purposely writing down the wrong answers.
Well, it's like they probably shared like the same best boy, and they were telling the best boy like, "Hey man, when you go over there, kind of tell us what's going on, and then when you come back, we're just gonna kind of, since we're writing the script as it goes, kind of just fill in the blanks, you know?"
Yeah.
I literally think some shit like that was happening.
It's possible.
Yeah, it is a fun watch one time through, but that was it for me. I won't watch it again probably. In all seriousness, it's awesome if you enjoy it because it's stupid. It is fucking stupid. And I love some stupid movies that suck really bad. So I can't say anything bad about anybody that actually enjoys it. Not for me, not my cup of tea. Wasting my fucking time. Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome. For me, it's a solid probably a 3.5 out of 10. So
3.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
I would have said like a 4.6, but go on.
3.5 out of 10. But that was Don't Open Till Christmas.
Yes.
But what?
Oh, I was going to go ahead and get into this next segment because I'm tired of this steamy.
That's what I was going to say. So go watch it if you so dare. At least watch the trailer. In my opinion, you can watch the trailer and be fine. That'd be it. So we are going to go into Trivia of Terror. Are you ready? I think I'm going to ask you the first question since I've actually got some prepared tonight.
Okay. Yep. Sure. Guys, if you're new here, Trivia of Terror. It's our segment, how we close out every episode. We ask each other horror-related trivia. Justin asks me 3, I ask him 3, and we have 30 seconds each to answer each question. They're of alternating difficulty. Some are easy, some are hard, some are medium, and I'm ready.
All right, so also I want to point out, most of the time Andrew's questions for me are from the game Flashcards, which I do not have, so I usually just go and find questions online or I come up with some. So these are all completely random, have nothing to do with Christmas. They never have anything to do, most of the time they don't have anything to do, I guess, with the movies that we just talked about. So I will give you this one. Fay Wray played Andero in what 1933 monster movie?
I feel like I should know this off the top of my head.
I will give you. Do you want a hint that's not going to count as like your? Because the question can be kind of misleading. It is not a monster movie in the typical sense of like your Draculas and your Frankensteins.
I know what it is. I'm gonna guess King Kong.
You got it right.
All right.
All right, hit me. I'm ready.
All right. So In what year was Bob Clark's Black Christmas released?
Wasn't that 70?
You literally said this in the beginning of our episode. 74.
74.
You got it.
Yeah, well, I was teetering on 73, and I'm like, no, 74.
Then you could play it off like, well, they were actually filming in
Yeah,
73.
it was in production in 73, so...
So fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, man.
Fuck
All
you.
right, so if you don't get this one, we might not be best friends anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna...
What Breaking Bad actor played a criminal named Francis in the remake of The Last House on the Left in 2009?
Oh, that was Aaron Paul. Good old Aaron Paul.
Good old Aaron Paul.
Good old Aaron Paul, a.k.a. Jesse Pinkman, a.k.a. that guy in the Need for Speed movie. I don't remember his name in Need for Speed.
I don't know. We're just going to call him a.k.a. Where's my money, bitch?
Yeah.
That's it right there.
All right, so the next question for you is... This one's going to be a little bit harder. Justin, are you ready?
I'm always ready. I'm probably going to miss it. Let's go.
This is something a lot of people would know. I honestly don't fucking know it, and I should. What actor played Police Chief Martin Brody in 1975's Jaws?
Oh, my fucking God. I don't even remember his fucking name, so I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't fucking know.
Okay, well, do you want a hint? It's not somebody you're going to know, but I can try and give you a hint. You can kind of like try to figure it out.
Give me a hint. It's worth a shot.
His initials are RS. Don't kill us, guys. This is a hard one. Like, I don't know. I don't even know this. You may know it. May come easy to you, but...
See, it's something that I probably know, like, in passing. Like, if you tell me, maybe like, oh, but it's not something that's, like, just actively in my knowledge vault. So
you
I'm
may
gonna
know
have
it.
to... I'm going to have to... is his first name Robert?
No.
Richard?
No.
Then I don't fucking know.
His name is Roy Scheider.
See, I would have never fucking got that shit.
Heider. Like, I didn't know if you knew that because I didn't know how big of a Jaws fan you were.
I'm a big Jaws fan, but more from the perspective of...
It's a good fucking movie.
It's a good fucking movie, and I like the use of practical effects. It's not like, man, I fucking know all of those actors and shit. Like,
well, some people, Jaws is like their fucking life. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know it, so... All right, next question. What you got for me?
All right. This one is the easiest question I'm about to fucking give you. Because you might have actually given me this question before, but I'm not sure. I know that I've answered a question with this movie before. A slacker and his best friend try to save their loved ones from a zombie outbreak by hiding out in the local pub in this 2004 film.
It's pretty fucking easy, man.
I told you it was easy.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yep, Shaun of the Dead.
All right, so this one's pretty easy.
I'll give you a bonus one in a minute, but
okay.
But you can.
All right, guys. So Justin's next one is pretty easy as well, I think, if he pays attention. Listen closely. True or false? Early promotional television advertisements for The Ring from 2002 showed the dead girl Samara walking toward the screen with no mention of the film's title. Do you remember the early adverts of the movie?
I do not.
Well, fuck, you're not going to know this then.
If you picked it, you picked it. Repeat it.
Okay, so even if you have to take a guess, true or false, early promotional television advertisements for The Ring from 2002 showed the dead girl Samara walking toward the screen with no mention of the film's title.
I'm going to say fucking true. That's
False.
my final answer.
False.
What the fuck?
Early television advertisements for The Ring showed the cursed video from the film, but did not mention the title of the film at all.
Wait, I thought that's what I was saying was true.
True or false? Early promotional television advertisements for The Ring showed the dead girl Samara walking toward the screen with no mention of the film's title. And then it says false. Early television advertisements for The Ring showed the cursed video from the film, but did not mention the film's title at all.
Okay, whatever.
I mean, fucking know. It's a toss-up. I don't know what the fuck's going on in that question. All right, you got one more for me?
Well, yep, I'll give you a bonus because so my video is probably going to cut out again right here at the very end, but it is okay. So this bonus question, let's see. Let me pull something out of my fucking... Okay, name the 3 films in John Carpenter's self-proclaimed Apocalypse trilogy. They're not. It's not an actual trilogy. They're 3 movies that have nothing to do with each other, but he considers them to be his Apocalypse trilogy.
Escape from New York, Escape from L.A., and Big Trouble in Little China.
No.
Okay.
I'll give you one more guess.
How many did I get wrong?
All 3.
What?
Yep.
The Fog. God damn, what the fuck? Really? The Fog, Vampires, and Prince of Darkness. Did I get it?
All right.
Did I get it?
No.
What is it?
But since we're talking about a trilogy, I'm going to give you one more go because it will be 3 tries. I will tell you that you got one of them right. Do you want to know which one you got right?
Yeah. Which one did I get right?
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness. I don't fucking know.
I'll give you 2 hints. No, I'm going to give you 2 hints. One for each of the other 2 movies.
All right, go ahead. So, you mentioned both Escape from New York and Escape from LA. One of the actors from both of those movies is in one of the other films. And the main character from the second film was portrayed by a man who also visited an island full of dinosaurs, and shit went all to shit. Halloween? The fuck?
Who in the fuck?
I'm thinking Dean Cundy from Jurassic Park being DP on Jurassic Park and Halloween.
No.
Oh, you're talking about In the Mouth of Madness.
Actor.
In the Mouth of Madness.
Yep.
Prince of Darkness. And... Fuck, I don't know the last one.
Come on. Escape from New York and Escape from LA. The same guys in this movie.
Yeah, you're talking about Kurt Russell. That's why I thought Big Trouble in Little China, but that's not the fucking right answer.
What's the best John Carpenter film with Kurt Russell in it?
Escape from New York.
That's number 2.
I don't fucking know.
The Thing, man. The Thing.
Oh, goddamn. God damn it. Okay. Yep. That one totally didn't even register with me. Well, so that was Trivia of Terror.
That doesn't count against you because, like I said, it was a bonus.
If you guys know the answers, let us know if you're watching this on YouTube in video form. If you didn't know, or you just want to roast me or Justin for not knowing some of these questions that are fairly easy, roast us down in the comments. Or at least let us know whether you knew them or you didn't. So we appreciate you guys watching. And Justin, you got anything to add?
Yeah, so I'm going to shout out some socials real fast. If you want to follow Black Mass Films on Twitter and Instagram, it is exactly that, Black Mass Films. Cinema Creep Podcast on Instagram, and our Twitter is Cinema Creep Pod. My personal Instagram and Twitter are both Justin James TV. It used to be, different, but I've changed it because I'm trying to, unify everything. And where can we find you, Andrew?
I am at Drucifer, except that it's spelled DREWXCIFER everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Mama's Crib, everywhere.
Everywhere. So that has been episode 18, the first of our Christmas specials. Next week, we've got a one that is not a total piece of shit.
A goddamn banger next week.
Yep. And then 2 absolute fucking bangers after that. So, well, are we doing like an absolute banger next week and then a semi-banger and then the absolute banger? Or are we doing the semi-banger next week and then cashing out the holidays with the next 2 that are
just bang all the time. We just
banging.
Bang it.
Just hanging and banging.
Hanging and banging. That's what we do here.
Yep. So that has been episode 18. Like I said, thank you guys for checking it out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, share it, get more people listening to the show. And as always, we will catch you guys in the next episode.
See ya.